Alabama was a winner, 72-64 in hoops, 3-0 now. The Crimson Tide are on the season. It's time for Catfish Courtside. We're going to talk about the game, get you guys updated on this Crimson Tide basketball team and more. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Thumbs up. Let's get this show started. All right, I'm Mick Gillespie, and there he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Catfish himself. He's going to be covering the Crimson Tide for us here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. And right off the bat, Chad, it looked like Bama was going to blow these guys out. And then all of a sudden, they went on one of those cold spells. They win the basketball game. McNeese isn't a bad team, but this wasn't the kind of game that, at least the finish, wasn't what we wanted.
I felt like a sports writer where we put together our production and everything for the show, and we had to change it there after a minute because Alabama looked like they were going to pound McNeese State, and then they kind of hit a roadblock. Give credit to McNeese and Will Wade. This is a former LSU basketball coach, the one that took Alabama to the wire in the SEC tournament in 2021. Again, we talked about this with Arkansas State, with Brian Hodgson. Same thing with Will Wade. When you've coached against these teams before, basketball is such a different sport than football. It's 5 guys against 5 guys. You only need 1 or 2 studs. It's not 11 on 11, and it's just a little bit different. So Alabama, they really just got cold in that second half. Crimson Tide couldn't really knock shots down. They were getting all their points from the free throw line. They kind of kept McNeese at arm's distance. At the end, it never got to like 2 or tied like it did with the Red Wolves. But it was still like slightly uncomfortable there for a few minutes. But people don't realize this McNeese team. They had a 19-win improvement last year.
Yeah.
Under Will Wade. In 1 year, won 19 more games than the year before, won the Southland Conference easily last year in the championship over Nichols. So it's a quality team. I get it. It's not an SEC team, but it's one of those teams you don't want to face them in March. And that's what Alabama did here in November.
Yeah, right. Look, they're a tournament team, or they could easily be a tournament team. And Bama won the game. A couple things first, and I want to talk later in the show and get your opinion on this roster, which is so talented, because I don't think they're there yet, right? But they're definitely, you can tell that they've got players all over the place. But in this particular game, we saw Grant Nelson, who was excellent, 6 of 9 from the floor, hit a couple of threes, but he hit 8 of 10 free throws, 22 points in the game. And Alabama as a team, 17 of 24 from the charity stripe, 70%. That's how you win games, man. You got to make those free throws.
Yeah, they did. They got a lot more chances than McNeese. If you look at the total fouls in the game, McNeese committed 22 personals compared to Alabama's 12. McNeese only had 11 attempts at the free throw line all night long compared to Alabama's 24. So those two things really stand out. And if you go back to, this was last year's team. You mentioned they haven't quite gelled yet. And if you thought they were going to 3 games in, that's unrealistic expectations. This is a long season. It carries the course of 5-6 months. And when you step back and look at it, you mentioned Grant Nelson, but it was 2 other guys who also complimented Nelson tonight that were part of the Final Four run last year, and that's Mark Sears and Latrell Wrightsell. So it was guys from last year who were stepping up and scoring. Between those 3 players, they combined for 52 of the 74 points tonight.
Yeah, right. And
the 72 points tonight.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying. And what I was going to say is that as these other guys start to get comfortable on this roster, this team's just going to continue to get better. I mean, you can tell that Clifford Amari is just, he's so good defensively, but I think he can play around the hoop. And I love it when he's in the game. We haven't really seen the best of this team yet. Now, Wrightsell, you mentioned him coming off the bench, 15 points. I think that eventually he could start. Aiden Holloway was poked in what was it, like the nose or something, and left the game, and then came back. So But this team's so deep, I don't feel like they've really even gotten close to being where we're going to go, okay, man, this is what this team does. It almost feels like, hey, we got guys out here, we're playing together, we got a lot of talent, but we haven't quite figured out our rotation yet and exactly how we're going to take advantage of all this talent and depth.
Yeah, correct. They haven't figured out who's going to play well and who's also going to play well together. You're going to have different combinations that go out there on the floor, and different guys are going to play, better and worse depending on who's out there. And you just have different chemistry with different guys on the team. I heard the play-by-play guys tonight talking about it, and it was kind of a perfect description where Nate Oates was changing up the hockey lines. Because that's what they were doing. They were subbing in 4 guys and leaving Mark Sears at that specific time that they mentioned it. But that's just it. And one thing Alabama's really, you can already see, even though it hasn't, totally worked itself in yet, and they've still got a lot of room for improvement, obviously, and working together. But Clifford Amari, Bama didn't have that guy last year. And I know some of you are going to say, well, Alabama had Nick Pringle. Guys, again, Alabama didn't have that guy last year. Nick Pringle was like Reggie Rambo. He would come in and get 7 fouls in 38 seconds. Like, he would just be out of the game before he was in the game. And that's one thing. Best of luck to him at South Carolina. That's where he transferred to. But and Bama really, really last year, even though they made the Final Four, they still missed Charles Bediako because he was the 7-foot guy that protected the rim.
Right.
And this year, you've got Clifford Amari, and he's the one that's going to be the big-time rim protector. But did you notice too, Mick, all the length? Like the arms, man, they cut off the passing lane so well. You try to get deep in there and then find a pass or whatever. They're just too long with Amari, Nelson, Stevenson, like just those 3 alone. It's crazy what Alabama's able to do with the length.
Yeah, no doubt, man. You still got you got Delabate on the bench, and didn't see much time in the game, but he's another guy that can bang around on the inside. And I feel like this team is just so deep when it comes to guard play, 3-point shooters, and then the inside presence. And I feel like for a team that got to the Final Four last year, with Mark Sears being maybe the best guard in the entire country, when they get it figured out, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, we'll talk about the upcoming schedule because it's about to get tough. They're going to lose some games.
Yes.
They play like they did tonight. They're not going to go undefeated. You don't really go undefeated in basketball a whole lot, but they're playing another killer schedule. And when this team starts to figure it out, they're going to be so much fun to watch. I mean, you see it in spurts. Then they go on that cold spell, and you're like, man, what is going on here? But then when they have to, they play great defense and they lock down McNeese and win the game. And it's like, okay, guess what we got now? Boom, we got Purdue at Purdue. Yeah, and guess what after that? Guess what after that? Catfish. If that's not good, yeah. If that's not exciting enough for you. Oh, yeah, Bama's going to play Illinois. That's not good enough for you. Then they're going to go and play Houston, number 8 in the country. Then they're going to play Rutgers, Amari's old school. Oh, then they're going to North Carolina. Then they're playing Creighton. Then North Dakota on the road. Who goes to North Dakota? So, I mean, like, and if that's not good enough, they've even mixed in North Dakota State. So the schedule, which hasn't been easy thus far against the mid-major teams that could make the tournament, this thing's about the heat, man.
Yeah, it's going to get rough. But what I love, and this is really across all Alabama sports that I can tell, is that the athletic department really says, hey, let's go play the hard games. Let's go figure this out. And it really started, in my opinion, with Nick Saban early on in his career in Tuscaloosa, because Alabama would always play in football that marquee game to open the season, right?
Yeah.
You go to Atlanta and you play Clemson, you play Virginia Tech, you play West Virginia, you play USC, whatever.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, the basketball team is doing that. And they're scheduling, and Nate Oates is preparing his team for the NCAA tournament. And he's preparing this team to be battle tested. You can say what you want, but remember last year, Bama played Purdue last year. They played them up in Toronto, of all places, the most random place ever to play Purdue, but they went to Toronto and did it.
Right.
Bama's went home and home with Houston a few years ago. Bama last year went to Creighton, and now Creighton's coming to Tuscaloosa. Bama is doing the game with Illinois. Bama played Gonzaga in a Seattle-Birmingham swap.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great. Bama does this, and they also do it against the smaller schools because, Mick, we all know those are the upsets in March, right? Like McNeese State is going to bite somebody at some point, whether this year or next year. They're getting somebody in March. And those are the teams you have to watch and be careful of, and you get the experience now so that you're not surprised against them later. I love it.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm excited about what we got going on. All right, well, look, win for Alabama, take it, wrap it up. Now it's time to start getting into the meat of the non-conference schedule, which includes, like I said, at Purdue last year, Final Four team. Now I know they don't have their big man, but they're still a really good program and a very good team. And Alabama's going to be going on the road. So we'll see how things progress for them if they're able to kind of, play a little bit with more cohesion moving forward.
Yeah, Zach Edey's gone from Purdue, so we'll see how good the Boilermakers truly are this year, missing the obvious big man in the middle. But I said this on the last show, Mick, and just to reiterate, tonight was the last night Alabama plays on campus until December 14th. So it's cool and it's good, and there's a lot of great games, but it's also going to really be telling of how this group kind of comes together because they're not going to be on their home floor. They're going to have to rely on each other. They're really going to have to come together as a team and rely on each other, have each other's back, because when you're not away from home, it's a little harder. It's not as familiar. You got the pressure, you got the opposing fans, you got the whole deal. So, we'll see how that pans out over the next 33 days.
Hopefully when they come back to town, there'll be a team instead of a bunch of really good individual players. A couple things I want to tell you guys about is that channel's always brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Try the Timeout Sports Lounge. You feel like Bama is going to take down everyone and win the national championship, you can go there, do futures, put wagers down, hang out at the Timeout Sports Lounge, 20 big screen TVs, games from all over the country and really the world now, all the major sports. But they've got it all. $50 at the sports book at Golden Moon Casino gets you the opportunity to play Dancing Rabbit Golf Course for just $40. Jay Coker and I will be there to do the Oklahoma football show the Friday before the Oklahoma game. So come out and see us at Pearl River Resort. And remind you guys this too, that use the promo code Bama Tailgate at newlifeart.com. You want to pimp out your man cave, you can do that. But the most important thing that we want to tell you is about the man right there, Mr. Catfish himself.
I'm the guy that can help bail you out with some cash after you go to the sports lounge. Sports lounge, all right? After you've had a few too many, maybe made some bad decisions and picks, I'm here to bail you out is the key. No, hopefully you're not in that situation. But we've been helping a lot of people with refinancing, purchasing, everything. I started my own business and company a couple of years ago. It's worked out so well. Mick has been a great testament and mouthpiece for us, and he's been phenomenal helping push the brand. But that's my email. That's my direct cell phone number, my website. I'm just a real guy, so it's not like a team member and you get handed off and we try to shove something down your throat. We're really trying to put you in the best position financially and to build wealth and succeed. So that's the website. Like I said, ChadwickAnderson.com. There's the phone number. If you'd love to reach out, or if you just want to talk some basketball or football, we can do that as well.
All right, guys. Thanks for Catfish. I'm Mick. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Roll Tide, everybody. And we'll be back after the next Bama basketball game. We'll be previewing we'll be watching the Purdue game and giving you our assessment of that matchup in Indiana. It's going to be fun, man. That's going to be a good weekend of some sports. It's going to be some good weekends. All right, Roll Tide.